All right, what's up, chat? What's up, chat? Welcome to Trader University, day 2. Class is now in session, chat. Class is now in session. Now, as you can see behind me, we do not have your fellow classmates from yesterday, chat. So we have to have a discussion about your classmates from yesterday, right? So your classmates yesterday, they have gotten placed on a couple days suspension due to the fact that they were going through my secrets, my notes, right? And I caught them snipping in after class and trying to, leak the data, right? So they have been placed on a suspension and they may or may not return. Chat, let me know what y'all think. Y'all think I should let them return or should I completely expel them? I'll let the chat decide and see where, your fellow classmates will be, if they will be attending again. So let me know, chat. Let me know. They said they were creating rumors during class anyway. They want to get rich quick. No, dead ass, chat. They was tripping. They was tripping. They was Mr. Buying when it's selling and selling when it's buying. And bro, it was bad, bro. It was bad. It was real bad. Somebody said, get them another chance, expel them, expel them. You can't trust this probationary period. They just wanted the Lambo quicker. Look, chat, they was, bro, it was bad. But we not here to worry about them today, chat. We are here to get in our bags today, right? So the good thing about, the students not being here, it's kind of like having, you ever been in class where you had a class clown and then it's like when the class clown don't come to school that day, you could just learn. Like you ain't got no distractions, you ain't got nobody interrupting the teacher, you ain't got none of that, chat. It's just like, dang, like we got a peaceful day in class today. So that's what today is gonna be like, chat. We don't have any distractions. We don't got no people in the background. We don't got people coming late to class. We don't got none of that. No cameras, no nothing inside of the class. We just gonna be learning today. So I need everybody to make sure that y'all got y'all pens and y'all notebooks, because like I told y'all yesterday, note takers are money makers, right? So with that being said, today is day 2 of Trader University, just like we talked about yesterday. I'll go over the class syllabus again just to inform the people that weren't here yesterday, because I know a lot of people weren't able to make the call. So I will be going over the syllabus, and then we also have to go over a few things just like we did yesterday as well. And then wait, somebody said the volume. No, the volume can't be low, chat. It can't be low. Let's see. All right, so let me pull up my screen really quick and we can dive right into it, chat. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. Oops, I pressed the wrong button. Let's go here. Wham. All right, let's go, chat. All right, so like I mentioned before, welcome to Trader University. And then for those that weren't here yesterday, quick thing. Y'all can follow me on Instagram through all my socials here. And then for the people that were not able to get the student ID, I know y'all probably seen my Instagram post. I reposted a lot of y'all. You can get the ID from here. So all you simply have to do is screenshot the ID right here. And then, you can crop it on your phone. And then you can, post it on your socials, so forth and so on. And just tag me. And then I will repost you guys. So here's my Instagram and then my TikTok. And then if you want to join the Discord, all you simply have to do is scan the QR code. And then you will be able to join the Discord through the direct link. And then my assistant just put it in there as well. And I'm about to make her moderator. So perfect. So she just dropped the Discord in there. She also dropped the YouTube link, so forth and so on. So Somebody said, do we need to do the ID? No, you don't need to do the ID. It's just a part if you want to participate and you want to show me that you were in class for yesterday, right? Or show me you were in class for today. So that's what the ID is for. Somebody said, Professor, you ain't repost mine. Sometimes when y'all post me, it go to my what's it called? Sometimes they go to my requests. So sometimes I don't get them. But everybody else that I saw in my messages, I definitely reposted. Somebody said definitely has some fake Mike Lito's friending me on Discord. Yeah, please chat. If you get inside the Discord, make sure that like I would never write y'all first asking about trading, none of that. So like if you get a message and saying like, how's your trading going? This and that, it's probably a scam. So definitely make sure that you're not, like you don't get fooled or you don't get, finessed by none of that stuff, chat. So definitely be aware of that. And then like I mentioned before, yesterday you can hit the add yours telling you that you attended the Trader University yesterday, right? Now, next thing, I know the students presented this yesterday, but we have to go over this. This is a very important thing. And I know the students yesterday, y'all told me that y'all told me that this was a frat, but indeed it's not. But it's one thing I want you guys to, really understand. And I want you all to say this, right? So I'm gonna say it just with y'all, just so y'all can, verbally hear it. But it's super important. Even though like it was a joke yesterday, it's really like dead ass serious, right? So the student oath is, I stand here today as a student of Trader University. I understand that consistency is earned, not given. I will respect the market because the market owes me nothing. I will follow my plan, even when my emotions tell me otherwise. I will protect my capital before I chase profits. I will never let one trade define who I am. And then, of course, the acronym LITO, learn, implement, and teach others. That is the student oath, chat. And when you develop that mindset as a trader, that's what allows you to be successful. A lot of people go into, trading and they just think like, oh, well, I'm gonna have the same mindset that I have, my whole life and the same way of thinking, and then wonder why, they're not successful, right? So it's super, super important that we abide by this, chat. Now, moving on, class schedule. Just like we talked about yesterday, day one was orientation / market structure. Today will be top-down analysis, and you guys also will be having your very first quiz, right? So you'll be having your very first quiz, and we're going to go over that in class. Well, let me just ask y'all this. Would y'all rather take the class? Would y'all rather take the quiz on your own, or would y'all rather do the quiz and I'll let y'all vote in the chat? Because if you want to do it by yourself, you can, but if y'all want to do it together, we can too. So let me know. Option A would be y'all do it by yourselves. Option B would be we do it together as a class. So write A or a B in the chat, whichever decision you want to make. So I'm gonna give y'all like 30 seconds. So type an A or a B in the chat. Let's see. Damn, where I put my Red Bull chat? Okay, I see a lot of people saying together. All right, perfect. So, all right, chat. That means we got to be real interactive. But listen, we're not gonna spend all day on the, on the quiz. So y'all gotta answer quick. So once I ask the question, once I see a couple answers, then I'm gonna click that one and we're gonna move on to the next one, right? So, somebody said, can we do it separately? Yeah, I can send this to y'all. Separately in the Discord as well, so that y'all can take advantage of it, right? So with that being said, like I said, we're doing top-down analysis today, but our quiz is over. Our previous lesson, which was market structure. And then another thing that I added, we have our students of the day, right? So I'm going to be picking a select few individuals based off of the answers that I see in the chat. So like, don't be spamming the chat with just silly stuff. Like if I see your name and I say like, okay, this person answered this question really well. They were, they real engaged X, Y, and Z. I'll be selecting the student of the day. And the only thing I would need, is for y'all to post this, and then I'll retag y'all based off of y'all Instagram. Somebody in the chat just said, I see no 9 to 5. That's crazy. That's crazy. All right, chat. So yeah, we're gonna be doing it together. We're gonna do the quiz together. So give me 1 second. And then also, last thing but not least, we talked about this yesterday, and y'all honestly y'all didn't listen, but I'm giving y'all another opportunity. For those that weren't here yesterday, I talked about having office hours, right? So the office hours will be the last 30 minutes of each stream. You will have the chance to ring the professor hotline, and most importantly, do not spam the hotline, chat. Do not spam the hotline. This right here, this is the hotline, chat. So we got the phone right here. This is the hotline. I put the number on the screen, right? I put the number on the screen for you guys to put the hotline in your phone. Please, please, please do not call the hotline until office hours begin. Once office hours begin, then we will be able to, y'all be able to dial in. Y'all could be able to voice your questions, right? Because sometimes when y'all inside of the chat, it's like you can type a question, but you can't, vividly explain it, right? So when you call the hotline, you can ask it, you can verbally talk to me, and you can ask your question in depth. So just please, please, please do not spam the hotline. Yesterday, we had to turn the phone off because y'all just kept calling it. So I don't want to have to do that today. So just make sure that y'all not spamming it. Otherwise, if I see people spamming the hotline, like I'm gonna literally have the chat spam y'all phone number. So when you call, I'm gonna have that. I'm gonna have them spam it. And then if I figure out who that number is, you getting expelled too. So just be mindful of that. But outside of that, chat, let's go ahead and dive right into our quiz. Is everybody ready for the quiz? I'm waiting for the person in the chat to say I'm calling right now, but I'm screaming. No, nobody call. Please don't. I know somebody gonna call, but don't do it. All right, so let's go ahead and dive directly into our quiz, right? So our quiz, you can see our market structure quiz. Now this is based off of all of our previous teachings, right? So this is, if you understand what we talked about yesterday, you should be able to answer these questions, right? So the first question, in this uptrend, which price level is the most important structure level to watch? A, the very first low where the trend started, the highest point reached so far, the most recent higher low point, or the midpoint between the highest high and the lowest low. What's the answer, chat? Let me see. I just read it. Somebody says blurry for me, but I just read it out for you. I see A and C. If you said A, bro, like, oh my goodness. Okay, I see a lot of C's. We're gonna go with C. Everybody's spamming C. Perfect. Correct. The most recent higher low point. Perfect. For those that answer A, bro, y'all need to definitely go back and take some notes and definitely go back and watch day one. All right. Now, question number 2. What type of market structure is shown on this chart? A, a downtrend, lower lows and lower highs. B, consolidation, price moving sideways. C, uptrend, higher highs and higher lows. Or D, breaker structure to the downside. Which one is being shown, chat? C. Okay, C again. Perfect. All right, let's go with C. Perfect. Great job, chat. Great job. Now, all right. So look, when y'all put your answer, because I don't know if it's gonna be like, if it do multiple C's, then I don't know if y'all saying C from the last question. So just put like C again, or the question number 3, C, so forth and so on. Just so I know which ones y'all talk about. But all right, next question. Price was in a downtrend, then the most recent lower high got broken to the upside. What does this signal? A, continue selling. This is just a temporary bounce. B, the downtrend is accelerating, adding more sales. C, a breaker structure. The downtrend may be versing to the upside. Or D, consolidation is forming, avoid trading. Which one is it, chat? C again. It's all C. All right, I see a lot of C's. C again, 3C. Perfect. Great job, chat. Great job, chat. So yes, this is signaling a break of structure. Why? Because we broke the most recent lower high to the upside with a brand new impulse. So if we refer to what we talked about yesterday, impulse is a break of structure letting us know the direction that the market wants to overall go, right? Now, let's move on to the next question. Price briefly dips beneath the most recent higher low with the wick, then immediately close above it. How do you read this? A, confirm breaker structure, switch to sales immediately. B, potential wick, stop hunt, wait for a candle close below the level to confirm a real breaker structure. C, consolidation forming no trade. Or D, continuation of the uptrend, enter buys immediately. Which one is it, chat? Y'all might have some trouble with this one. Y'all might have some trouble with this one. All right, and look, if y'all answer the question once, like don't spam the same answer in the chat because I want to give everybody else the opportunity to answer. But if you flood the chat, then all I see is your name. All right, I see a lot of people saying B. Great job, chat. Great job, chat. Perfect. All right, moving on to the next question. Price has been consolidating for a while, then makes a strong move upward, breaking out of the range. What should you do? A, immediately buy the breakout candle. Don't miss it. B, sell. Breakouts always fail in reverse. C, wait for price to pull back and retest the top of the old range before entering. Or D, ignore the move. Consolidation breaks are not reliable. Which one is it, chat? And we on question 5. So if you put like your answer, just put 5, whatever. C. All right, perfect. Perfect. Wait for the pullback. Yes, anytime you are in a level of consolidation, you will always wait for price to break out of that consolidation level, pull back and retest that level before you look to enter the trade. If you immediately buy the breakout candle, you're gonna be going outside. So you never want to just sell the breakout because they possibly, you don't want to just sell assuming that it's gonna fail in reverse. Like you don't want to do that, chat. So those are 5 questions. I don't want to spend too long on this quiz, but if y'all want to, do this quiz, I'll put it in the Discord for you guys to do the remaining of the questions. But as a collective, chat, we went 5 for 5. So clap it up for yourself because we had 5 for 5. Well, I ain't gonna say everybody had 5 for 5, but to the person that wrote A on the first answer, I definitely need you to go back and watch day 1 because that was the wrong answer. But majority of the answers that I've seen as a collective, y'all had all of the answers right. So great job, chat. Now, the next thing that we're going to dive into is, like I mentioned, our overall day 2 assignment, which is our top-down analysis, right? So can everybody see my screen clearly? Can everybody see the TradingView chart? The Discord link is in the chat. If you see the name Her Market Moves, that's my assistant, and she put it in the chat. Can we do 5 questions at a time throughout the training tonight? We might revisit it. Just depending on how y'all responded to our overall lesson today, right? Now, okay, perfect. Everybody can see the chat. Perfect. So, like I mentioned, and like today, chat, like I want y'all to understand, we don't got no distractions. We don't got none of that. I know yesterday was a little bit more fun, but today we get in our bag. Like we are literally in our bag today. This is one, in addition to the lesson yesterday. Yesterday's lesson was very, very, very important. But this is where I see a lot of people go wrong inside of the market, right? I see a lot of people go wrong inside of the market within this lesson because they simply don't understand the full picture, right? They don't understand the full picture. Somebody say, can I darken up the background? Let's see. Let's see how this look. No, that looks terrible. Hold on. No, that looks terrible. Yeah, we're just gonna keep it like this. But like I said, this is one of those lessons that like I gotta really get in my bag, and I need y'all in y'all bag too. So no distractions. Make sure y'all taking good notes, because a lot of things that I may say may go over your head the first time you hear it. So it's one of those things where you gotta get right. All right. So let me go ahead, and honestly, it's getting a little hot in here, chat. That's how you know I'm serious, because I don't want no distractions today. I don't want none of that. We in our bag today, chat. So let's get to it. All right. So we have our overall top-down analysis, right? Oops. Top-down analysis. The name of the game for top-down analysis is to understand the overall story, right? So here, let me put some of these notes here. The main thing for our top-down analysis is to understand that every line that you draw on your chart should tell you a story, right? Every line that you draw on your chart should tell you a story. Meaning that if I start from, the monthly time frame, right? If I start from the monthly time frame and I draw, let's just say I draw a level of resistance here, this should tell me a story, right? This should be able to tell me a story. And the story here on this level of resistance is every time price came here, it rejected, right? So any line that you draw on your chart should tell you a story. You should always ask yourself, every time price came here, what did it do? Or every time price came here, it did what? And when you answer that question, it's like, okay, I understand that every time price came here, it rejected, it rejected, it rejected. Therefore, there's a high probability chance that the market will potentially reject from this area again, right? So, like I said, make sure that y'all put that in your notes, right? Now, another thing within top-down analysis, and this goes hand in hand with time frame correlation, and things of that nature, right? So last class we talked about time frame correlation. I put all of the day one notes, I put them in a folder. So like these are all of the notes from yesterday, just to be able to revisit them. But like, remember when we asked, where is my daily breaker structure? Where is my 4-hour breaker structure? Where is my 1-hour breaker structure? Where is my minor 30-minute breaker structure for either continuation or reversal? Remember how we talked about those things yesterday, right? So when we take those same concepts and we understand that the market is one big book, right? So to put that in perspective, if I understand, like, let me get you off here. All right, so let's just put this in perspective, right? So let's think of the market as one big book, right? So one big book. If I open this book, let's just say I have never read this book before, right? If I have never read this book before, and I just flip to a random page and I say, okay, I'm gonna read the first sentence. This is a classic. You attract victims to creating a bond of blood and guilt between you. I can't tell you what this whole book is about by reading that one sentence, right? Reading that one sentence does not tell me the whole story of this overall book, right? It only tells me a portion. This is just one sentence in a paragraph, right? So if I understand that concept, me just reading one sentence is just like me going down to the M15 time frame and saying, okay, what is gold about to do? It's like, if I just read one word, I can't tell you what gold is about to do because I don't have enough data, right? So since I don't have enough data, I have to understand the full story. But when I put that in perspective again with the book, you know how if I was to pick up this book off the shelf in the store, I could read the back of the book. The back of the book is going to give me insight on what this book is about. Therefore, I can know, all right, this book is about X, Y, and Z before I purchase it, right? So when you think about the market, you think about the monthly as the overall back of the book. So the summary of the book. So the monthly is giving me all of the data and the insight to say, okay, this is a summary of what has price done overall leading up to this point. So if I understand the summary of the book, then I can then in turn say, okay, I think this is what's about to happen inside of the book. when I understand what's about to happen in the book, then I can make a very highly educated bias and say, okay, I can see this happening based off of the data that I already have. So time frame by time frame, you would just think about those as little portions in a book, with the monthly being a summary of the book, the weekly being a few chapters in the book, the daily being a few paragraphs that make up those chapters, the 4 hour being a few sentences that make up those paragraphs, and then 1 hour and below are just a few words that make up those sentences. So like I said, if I just go down to the M15 time frame, that's literally like me reading a couple words out of the book. I can't tell you what's about to happen next based off of just that data alone. So it's very, very important that we understand that we have to, when we do our top down analysis, or when we look to trade inside of the market, we have to understand that we have to know the overall story before we just make an assumption about what's about to happen next. Does that make sense, chat? Drop a yes in the chat if you understand that analogy. Drop a yes in the chat if you understand that analogy. Somebody said, can I make a note of that? Yeah, I can type that real quick. Monthly summary, back of the book. Weekly, few chapters of the book. Daily, paragraphs that make up those chapters. 4 hour sentences that make up the paragraphs. Oops. 1 hour, few words that make up those sentences, and then anything below, like literally one word in a sentence. Boom. So y'all could, take a screenshot of that, so forth and so on. So anytime, let's just put 30-minute and below here. 30-minute and below. 30-minute and below, one word in a sentence. So when I understand, like literally I see it happen so many times where people just go into the 30-minute time frame and they're just like, okay, let me mark up my chart. Let me see what's happening at X, Y, and Z. That's you just reading one word. Like you reading a sentence, you reading just one word or a sentence in a book, and you trying to convince me that you about to know what's about to happen next. And the reality of it is, it really don't work like that, right? So by understanding that I need to know the whole story of the book, I can then, like I said, have a very educated bias on what's about to happen next, right? So going back to that, like I mentioned before, every line that you draw on your chart is supposed to tell you a story. So here on the monthly time frame, I can see that the story here is that price is in a overall uptrend. It is forming higher highs and higher lows. So if I look at price from the monthly time frame, I can see that we have a high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Price is in a overall uptrend structure. So that's one of the things where we have to understand, okay, this is what the monthly is telling me. I don't have to draw a whole bunch of trend lines. I don't have to draw a whole bunch of support and resistance zones on the monthly, because this is the story is pretty clear, right? I really don't even, for me, I'm not even gonna put anything on the monthly because it's so far away from this resistance zone. It literally take years to get back there, right? So only thing I'm gonna pay attention to on the monthly is these most recent candle closes to see how if price is bearish or bullish on the smaller time frames, right? So that's one of the things that I have to vividly understand. Now moving down to the weekly, and one thing also I go by as well is every time you drop down a time frame, you want to get closer. You want to get closer to price, but in this case, I didn't draw any lines on my monthly, so there is nothing really to get closer to. But on my weekly time frame, I can see that I have this overall trend line. here. So I can draw my weekly trend line here. And like I was telling y'all yesterday, when I draw structure, I draw my structure and I color code it, right? So when I color code my trend lines, my my structure points, all of that, it's all color coded so I know, and I don't have to bounce in between to say like, oh, was this my daily or which, like everything is color coded, right? Now, on a weekly time frame as well, like I said, I can look at these little structure points, but this can really be broken down into like the daily time frame. So I don't necessarily draw these because they're not relevant to the time frame that we are on. Right now, so this is pretty much what all I have on the weekly. If I go down to the daily, we can see here now I'm getting a little bit more closer to price. All right, so every time I drop down the time frame, I'm getting closer to price as possible. But on a daily, I have a little bit more data and I can see things, a little bit more clear. So as we can see here, and just like how we spoke about yesterday, I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit. Starting from the daily, I can see that the market is forming, definitive higher highs and higher lows all throughout this area. All right. So on my daily structure, all I'm going to do is I am going to draw my higher highs and higher lows, and those are based off of the dots, right? So remember how we drew the dots yesterday? This is literally my daily structure right here. All right, this is literally my daily structure right here. So if I understand that this is my daily structure, then I know, all right, based off what we talked about yesterday, I have a break here, a break of structure for a continuation since price is already bullish. And then I have a break of structure to the downside to say price is overall reversing, because this is my last higher low point. So I understand that if price breaks higher low in the overall uptrend, then I know that price is now going bearish. But just how, like I talked about yesterday, if price is overall maintaining the overall trend, then you can assume that it will continue to make a new higher high in the uptrend or a new lower low in a downtrend. So here we are on gold. We can see that this was our impulse. This whole thing is one big correction. If we fail to break this low on gold, then we can have the assumption that price is going to go and create a new higher high, because this will just be an overall impulse. This would be the correction, and then we have a overall continuation, right? So that will be what we could assume based off of the daily time frame, as long as this structure is being maintained, right? So as long as this structure is being maintained, that's something that we can pretty much look out for, right? Now, this is what I have for my daily time frame based off of my structure. Another thing that I like to draw, as I get down to my smaller time frames, is I want to pay attention to my structure points and or like trend lines, counter trend lines, so forth and so on. So as we know that if we know that this is one big correction, I can draw a counter trend line here, and this is where this is what I mean by getting closer to price. All right, this is what I mean by getting closer to price. Box price in and react. So you can see here I have price boxed in here at this low, I have price boxed in here at this high, and then I drew this trend line here to illustrate that this is temporary in the correction phase downtrend. But if we break out of this trend line retest, then we know that we are going to go back bullish, right? So it's one of those things where you understand, like we talked about yesterday, the 3 phases: impulse, correction, get money, impulse, correction, continuation, whatever you want to call it. This was, like I said, our overall impulse. And remember, our impulses are sharp, aggressive pushes inside of the market. Our corrections are a lot more choppy, right? So you can see this is an aggressive push up. All of this is a lot more choppy. And then we may or may not get a continuation where gold just, takes off. So this is how I look at my overall daily bias, right? And then sometimes I will pay attention to, little areas of support and resistance, like this little area here. This was an area where price acted as a previous resistance, support, resistance. So the story here on this resistance line right here is every time that price came here, it rejected, it rejected, it rejected, it rejected. So if price was to ever make its way back up to this trend line and or this level right here, we could possibly expect a rejection. Why? Because that's the story of the market telling us what it's doing. So here, rejection, rejection, rejection. We get back here, we could possibly respect a rejection. However, we cannot just assume and say, oh, well, just because it came here, it's going to reject. We can have we can be mindful of it, but we're not just going to assume it. So we have to wait on confirmation to say, okay, price is giving us signs that it is rejecting based off of like our candlestick patterns right here. This is a bearish candlestick pattern. This is a bullish candlestick pattern right here. This is a bullish candlestick pattern right here. This is a bearish candlestick pattern right here. So we will need to see those things occur in that area and then let us know, okay, price is doing what it previously did in the past. So put that in your notes. Every time price came here, it did what? And be mindful of what it possibly could do, right? So with that being said, typically we haven't gotten to fibs yet, but for people that already didn't watch Trading Camp and understand like my style of trading, I will put a fib here on my my top down analysis, but I like to teach top down analysis first so that y'all don't worry about fibs just yet and y'all just focus on the structure. But currently we will be sitting at 88.6 if we maintain this level based off of our daily structure. All right, so I'm not gonna put the fibs on there. However, that's how I would analyze it based off of my daily time frame. Right now, once we finish our daily time frame and we have all of the data that we need, then this is one of the things where we drop down to the next time frame. And every time we drop down to the next time frame, we want to get closer to price as possible. Right now, within our 4 hour, just like how we talked about yesterday, remember there are trends inside of trends. So the daily is still in the uptrend, but the 4 hour could still be in a overall downtrend structure, right? So here, if we look at the 4 hour structure, we can start from this previous trend here like we did yesterday. We had a high, a higher low, higher high, higher low. And then this is where things start to get a little bit annoying because like price was so volatile that it was forming these little minute higher highs and higher lows. So just to make things a little bit cleaner, I'm not going to put all of these higher highs and higher lows. I'm only going to focus on the definitive structure points, which were here all throughout this area. So from this area, if I make this my 4 hour structure, boom. And one thing I do too, I like to draw my structure out before I'm putting all of my trend lines and stuff like that, because if you're just drawing a whole bunch of trend lines, you're not gonna be able to see the structure clearly. So I like to focus on my structure first and then go in and draw my trend lines, X, Y, and Z, right? So from here, you can see that price was in a overall uptrend on our 4 hour structure, right? So we had a 4 hour structure, and then this most recent higher low got broken here with a brand new impulse breaker structure, right? So then we had our definitive high up here, and price didn't break until it came down here. So this wick was the structure that broke this previous 4 hour uptrend structure, right? So this is the one big impulse. And then what do we follow by that? We had a correction, and then we had a continuation, and now we had a correction, and now we have a continuation, right? So I'm just going to draw my dots as such. And then like I mentioned, like yesterday, this is me connecting the dots. This is me saying that these are my overall structure points. So my 4 hour is currently in a overall downtrend, right? So you can see we went from a overall uptrend and we broke structure here, and now we are in a downtrend. So just like how we talked about the quiz earlier, in order for you to break an uptrend, you must break the most recent higher low, create a lower high, and then you will go down to the downside, right? So hope everybody is following that, but this is my 4 hour structure, right? Now within my 4 hour structure, one thing I want to pay attention to as well, just like on a daily, I know that if price breaks this level here, this will be a 4 hour breaker structure for a reversal. And you can put, H4 however you want to, or, you can label them all, however you want to. But BOS R stands for BOS reversal. And then If we were looking for a continuation will have to break the most recent lower low of this downtrend structure, which will be here. So I will put BOSC, which stands for breaker structure continuation, and I'm gonna put H4. So don't let these, don't, overthink these, these terminologies on these breaks of structures, because they literally just mean breaker structure, either reversal or overall continuation. So make sure that don't go over y'all heads. Right now, on our 4-hour structure, we can get close to the price, and then we also can pay attention to some of our other structure points. Right, so if I look left, I can see that we have like this structure point here, this structure point here, and then this little point right here, where this was the level of resistance that's being respected here on our H4. And you can either draw a zone or you can draw the line, whichever one you like. Me personally, I don't really like to draw zones too much, but it's one of those things where I like to, I like to just keep things a little bit neat, right? So it's one of those things where it's preference. You can draw your zone, or you can draw a line. Let me just check the chat real quick to make sure that y'all following real quick. Let's take a look. How you set up those circles so easy. You just use the highlighter tool. So you hit this highlighter tool and you just press once. If you drag it, it's gonna, give you this. But if you just tap it, it just make a dot. How do you know all that? How do you know that's all one big correction though? Because of the structure. So if I go back to the daily, this is the structure. This is the definitive higher high, definitive higher low, definitive higher high. Anything else in between that, these are all little baby structures. You see how I told y'all on 4-hour, like this can be broken down in H4 structure. That's why I didn't draw all of these little peaks right here, right? Going back down to H4. Also, too, one thing I want to really, really, really emphasize. Don't be the person that's drawing every single peak, right? So you see how on my 4-hour structure, I had this level right here. I had it going from this high all the way down to this low, this lower high, this lower low, this lower high, this lower low, because these are the definitive lows and definitive lower highs. Notice that I did not put it from like here. Let me change the color. Notice that I did not do this. This will be tracing price, because this low did not break this low, so I wouldn't even need to illustrate it. This peak right here wasn't even originated from a break of a low, so I wouldn't put that there. This was the actual low that actually did break the previous higher low, so that's why I put my dot there. And I see a lot of people, like, they try to trace this. This is not the structure. This is just noise. This is a trend inside of an overall trend. So that's why I'm not marking it off like that, and I'm only drawing the structure that's definitive. So this is my 4-hour structure. This little leg, this whole thing right here, can be broken down into a smaller time frame trend. So that's why I'm not illustrating it, because like I said, it's a trend inside of a trend, right? Now, with that being said, go back down to H4. I can get rid of this. And then, of course, like, yes, I can put, I can put structure points, in this area here. And I can probably get closer to the median of price, which will be here. So support, resistance, a little bit of resistance / support, resistance. And then we just broke this level here. So I can put that, but it looks a little bit messy to me. So I'm going to just leave it alone. But it's still a key level that I would pay attention to. I just don't like to have like too much on my charts, right? So that's one thing to understand as well, right? So let's see. The daily still in the uptrend. Yes, correct. How do you know when to sell or buy? We ain't got there yet. Let's see. How do you know when to use a wick and when to use a candle close? I talked about that yesterday, and that's one of those things where a wick break is a caution break. It's like a yellow light when you're driving. Go back and watch the recording to kind of understand that a little bit more in depth, right? Is it more important to break with a wick or a body? preferably a body, but you can use the wick as well. Because remember, like, one thing I want y'all to understand. So if I highlight this level right here, this wick right here is a wick on H4. But if I go to a smaller time frame, these are candles. Right? So if I go to H1, it's more candles. If I go to 30-minute, it's candles. So even though it's a wick on H4, these are still closed candles. So like you still, you got to put that into perspective and understand like it's a wick on H4, but on the smaller time frames, this was still bearish candles followed by bullish candles, which made that wick in the first place. So that's why I count wicks as breaks of structures, because on a previous time frame, they still, were candles that formed that data. It just didn't close like this on this particular time frame. So always be mindful. Always be mindful of that. Will we learn tools one day? No, that's kind of like trader elementary, like we talked about yesterday. But if y'all inside of the Discord, I put inside of the resources tab the trading for beginners, which is the free course I created for just beginners that talk about like the tools, how to do all of that stuff. So just go inside the Discord and get on the resource tab, and you'll be able to see that, and then you'll be able to watch those things, right? What are definitive structure points? Those are your swing highs and your swing lows. In between the last two 4-hour dots, there looks like a lower high. Would you only count that on a smaller time frame? Yep, I will break that down into a 1-hour structure. So far on each time frame, we are just reading our definitive highs and lows to understand where the trend is going at the time. Absolutely, 100%. Because honestly, like, if you understand structure, you can understand where the market is going without anything else. You don't need no indicators. You don't need none of that. You could really just go based off of the structure. Now, there's other tools like Fibonacci and trend lines that you can use to, be mindful inside of the market, but structure alone can lead you to the promised land. And that's why, like, even keeping a clean chart is important, so you could see structure. If you got hella stuff on your chart and you can't see structure, then it's like, think about it like this, chat. This is the analogy I use with my students, right? So think about it like this. If, let's just say I'm in my room and I'll turn my earring up. And let's say I drop my earring, right? So if I drop my earring on the floor, but my room is clean, I can see my earring fall on the floor, right? But let's just say my room is a mess and it's hella shit on the floor, then I won't be able to necessarily find my earring if it fall out my ear, because it's so much stuff on the floor. So it's like the same concept when you're inside the markets. It's like, all right, if I got everything, all over the chart, sometimes I might miss the structure because it's so much stuff, it's so much noise all over the place, versus just having an overall clean chart. And then it's just like, all right, bet, like, I can see it. It's like I can see it clearly. But if you have a hell of stuff on your chart, then you're not going to be able to see it clearly, right? So that's how I like to put it in perspective. And that's why I mentioned before, every line that you draw on your chart is supposed to tell you a story. If it's not telling you a story, then you're not looking to place it on your chart in the first place, right? So that's why I like to keep things very minimal as much as I can, especially when doing the fresh, top-down analysis, because you don't want to be misconstrued with, drawing a whole bunch of stuff that you don't necessarily need on your charts, right? Now that we have pretty much our 4-hour structure identified, we understand where our highs and our lows are at, and we understand the structure and we understand the trend, then we can overall go down to our smaller time frame, which is our next 1 hour. And remember, every time we drop down a time frame, we want to get closer to price as possible. So I can see here that if I draw this trend line from such, this was my 1 hour trend line here. And of course I can draw, my structure. I'll break down this structure real quick for y'all. And then here, so we'll start with the top of this trend, because this was the last leg of the H4. We had a high, then we had a low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, right? And then what do we have from there? we had this lower high get broken with a brand new impulse, correction, and then a continuation. And let me fix that real quick. Boom. High, higher low, higher high. Then this higher low got taken out here with this wick. So then we had a low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. All right, so now our H1 is in a overall downtrend structure as well, because we had this little thing right here. This is our 1 hour structure, right? This is our 1 hour structure here. And then if we were to draw our structure points, we have our 1 hour breaker structure for reversal, and then our 1 hour structure for a continuation here as well, right? So we could put H1, boom, and then we could put H1. So as we can see right here on gold is very close to breaking our 1 hour structure. So if we get a brand new impulse that breaks this structure, then we can have confidence to say that we can look for a correction before giving us another continuation. And that could be a sign that this is beginning to shift back bullish. All right. Why? Because we will break structure on our lower time frame stuff. Right. So this is our, like I said, our 1 hour structure. And then of course we can get, we can get closer to price within this as well. Right. We can get closer to price within this as well on our smaller time frames. But in addition to that, like I mentioned, I like to draw like, levels. So I can see like this is a level of resistance / support here. This was the story was every time that price came to this area, it rejected, it rejected, it rejected, it rejected, it rejected. So now if I was looking for price to, reject off an area, or let's say we break above this area, I'm gonna look for price to either respect this level and retest, or it can possibly come down to this area where it rejected in the past, because this is a key level on our 1 hour time frame to then possibly continue to go bullish. So that's one of those things where understanding your levels, your key levels, and understanding where you are at inside of the market, right? So this is what I have for my 1 hour structure. Now going down to the 30-minute, remember, every time you drop down a time frame, you getting closer to price as possible. I seen somebody say in the chat, like, yes, you're getting closer to the live price. And in addition to that, you're getting closer to, being able to decide what's about to happen next right now, right? So for our structure right now on our 30-minute, if we break down our structure, we can see, okay, what's likely to happen next. But one thing that I like to do as well is, remember I told y'all the market is one big book, right? So for me, I like to do something like this, right? Where I would type out the story on the monthly, I would type out the story on the weekly, I would type out the story on the daily, the 4 hour, the 1 hour, the 30-minute. I don't leave it up to my memory to say, okay, I think this is about to happen. Because why would I rely on my memory when I could just write out the book? Think about trying to memorize. Think about reading this book. This book got 400 something plus pages. If I just try to remember this off of memory alone, I'm not going to remember every single detail. But if I take vivid notes and detailed notes about this book, I can revisit things and say, oh shit, like this happened in this chapter, this happened in this chapter, this happened in this chapter. So I can get a understanding of, okay, what's about to really happen next based off of the notes that I have. So that's why it's important when you're doing your top down analysis. It's like, take good ass notes. That's just really what it boiled down to. If you take good notes and you understand your story, then you good to go, right? But if you just relying on your memory, think about it. You're not going to remember that whole book. So what I like to do is I like to type out, on the monthly. In this case, it wasn't a lot on the monthly. So the monthly is clearly an uptrend. So I wouldn't even have to type that out. But to put that in perspective, it's like, bro, I got to make sure that I do on my due diligence. I'm crossing my T's and I'm dotting my I's, because this is why, like, when I say trading really ain't for everybody, but it can be for everybody. But most people not really in this shit for real. Like if you're not willing to draw out your, you know, your structure points, if you're not willing to take good notes, if you're not willing to understand what the market is really telling you, then you don't really want to make money like you say you is, right? Like you don't really want to make money, or you don't really want to be a trader. Like you really got to be in this shit for real and do the things that's necessary. Now, of course, when you get more advanced and you get to a point where it's like second nature to you, you may not have to type things out, you know, all of the time, like, cause you got it on your chart. But it's like, do the things necessary to get to that level of understanding. Until you get to that level of understanding, it's like you gotta put in the reps, because ultimately this is your book. And if you know what's happening in your book, and you know there's a high probability chance of X, Y, and Z happening after that, then you know, all right, I could see buys, I could see sales, or I could see price rejecting here, so forth and so on, right? So that's one thing to pay attention to. Somebody said, can you type it out so I can kind of see? So I'm gonna just type out the 4 hour and below, because it's kind of, well, no, I'm gonna start from the daily. The daily, we come up here, we have, remember, the daily is in an overall uptrend, right? So the daily is in a overall uptrend. And currently, and remember, like I told y'all, I will put fibs on here, but I ain't went over fibs with y'all just yet, right? We are currently maintaining our bullish structure and haven't broken the most recent higher low on the daily. Therefore, we can assume price will continue bullish unless we break structure with a brand new impulse. Boom. So that's on the daily. On our 4 hour structure, remember, we are in an overall downtrend, right? So we will come here and we will put, on a 4 hour structure, we are in a downtrend, forming lower lows and lower highs. And like I mentioned before, I will put a fib on these, but like currently, if I put a fib point A to point B, we retrace to our 50% level. Therefore, we could possibly see price hit -27, but we're gonna learn about, you know, fibs here in this, you know, next couple of days. But 4 hour, we know, overall downtrend, forming lower lows and lower high points, right? Now, going down to H1. H1, based off of currently where we at on H1, we can say that H1 is in a overall downtrend. However, we are approaching a 1 hour breaker structure level. So if we break with a brand new impulse, then we would wait for a correction and then get money, right? So we understand that if we break this level with this impulse, we're gonna wait on the correction, retest, and then continuation, right? That's on our 1 hour structure. Our 30-minute structure, we haven't did our structure points just yet, but I'll break that down really quick. So our 30-minute structure, we can go as such. We had a high, then we broke this little lower high point here. So lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. This was the start of this was a lower high point here. We broke this lower high point with this brand new impulse. Then we had a correction, then we had a continuation. And then now we are in this overall uptrend on our 30-minute time frame here. And this is why we just printed on gold. All right, we just went bullish on gold because our 30-minute time frame is still maintaining our overall bullish structure, right? So now, based off of where we at, this will be our breaker structure to reverse, since this created a new higher high. And then right now, we can't necessarily draw a breaker structure to continue because, well, the most recent one was here, right? This was the most recent one, so I'll take that back. But as this is printing, I seen somebody ask this actually in the Discord. They was like, well, when do you draw the breaker structure line, right? And you will draw this breaker structure line once this begins to, pull back and start to form this as a high point, and then you can draw the next breaker structure line here. But as of now, this is the most recent one that made a new high. So this will be the level. If we were to continue to buy, we could ideally look for price to come back to this area and then possibly continuation down. Continuation up to that trend line. But that's if we get there, right? So that's something that, we want to pay attention to as well. So now, like I mentioned, this is my 30-minute structure, and then I want to get closer to price even from here. So I can draw a 30-minute trend line like such. And the story here is every time that price touched this trend line, it bounced up. It bounced up. So if price was to ever make its way back to this trend line and does not break this structure, we have a high probability chance that we can continue to go bullish, right? So that's one of the things where we have to understand the story on every particular time frame. Now, gold buys this week, stemming from last week, were beautiful, right? So, like for my students, that once we get to like understanding fully trend lines, then we can know like this was a beautiful trend line break and retest. I caught these buys last week. Well, this week here, this was a beautiful buy. I carried this to this negative 27, but this was a 61.8 retracement, so this hit the negative 61.8 perfectly, and then still is forming our structure. Now, I didn't catch this buy today because price never retraced to my level, my area of interest. So I was looking for price to come into this little area where price broke the previous like higher high. It never really tapped the zone. It came real close to it, but it never really tapped into this level. So I was cool on taking buys, right? So if it don't come back to the previous area that it got broken from, I don't like to take the trades, right? So that's one thing. I see some of y'all in the comment section saying y'all caught buys. Y'all definitely could have caught buys based off of this structure from here, like this correction structure, break retest. This was a good buy opportunity, but I personally didn't take it. So kudos to those that caught the buys. Kudos that caught the buys. Somebody said, I have a question. With understanding this market structure, how it moves, how would it be used in supply and demand? I don't trade supply and demand. So I don't know. In real time on a daily, there are points that break structure that you're not counting. Why not? Because those aren't daily structure. That's like 4-hour structure. Let's see. So no fib until the correction forms? Absolutely. 100%. Let's see. Structure matters more on higher time frames, right? So it doesn't make sense to mark up 15. Yes, structure matters. Structure definitely matters most on our higher time frames. Remember, like the book analogy, right? Remember the book analogy where, the higher time frames are telling us a overall bigger picture of the story versus, just our smaller time frames. But if we go down to like M15, like yes, you can mark up your structure. So your structure is also going to depend on, the type of trader that you are, right? Me personally, I like to intraday trade. So my bread and butter is looking at the H1, M30, and then I'm paying attention to, the H4. But for scalpers or like, people that's in and out, like I can go down to the 5-minute and I can do the exact same thing. Like this was a 5-minute. I even caught this sale today on gold when I was talking about this with my students. This was this little structure here, this M5 structure. This was a beautiful break and retest because I wanted to take a quick scalp. I was up late last night and I'm like, I want to be in the markets all day. But this was a breaker structure. So if we put our dots, just make these purple. This was the structure here. So we broke this structure point, impulse, correction, continuation. And then I put my fib on here, point A to point B, negative 27, TPE got hit. I closed the trade right here. So you can use structure on whatever time frame. This is M5. I wanted to take a scalp today. I didn't want to be in the market for a long period of time, so I took advantage of the smaller time frame move. However, I'm not, it's not one of those things where I'm not always on the 5-minute structure. But for those that like want sniper entries, you could pay attention to the smaller time frames. Because look how, remember when I was telling y'all, if you didn't catch the buy because it didn't pull back to here, then you could have caught it based off of this, like price breaking above this level here, retesting it. Then this was a buy opportunity right here based off of this breaking retest of this structure point. So it's just one of those things where you get your structure right, you gonna be right. But if your structure off, then you you not gonna make money. But literally, structure is the king. So when you're doing your top down analysis, this is why it's important to understand the structure that you in, because when you understand the structure that you in, then you have a high probability chance of knowing what's about to happen next. Without that, without that understanding of knowing what's about to happen next, then shit, you guessing at this point, right? You just guessing at this point. So that's why you see how this buy that we just broke down, everything tied into it from all of the other time frames. Like I wouldn't even look for these buys if I didn't understand where I was at on the daily and understand that the daily structure is still being maintained. I wouldn't be looking for, these buys if I didn't understand that coming down to, my H1 structures, my 4 hour structures, like, okay, I could see, these things happen on smaller time frames. It's beginning to push up to these areas. So structure is the most important thing within trading. That's why I'm so adamant about making sure that y'all understand structure and understand your top down analysis, because it's like when you put all of the pieces together and you understand the story, you literally know what's about to happen next. Like if y'all go back and watch all of my previous like live streams, when I used to do Let's Chart Sundays and I used to go live in the market, and I would say like, okay, this is about to happen this week. If you go back and watch majority of them, everything I said the market was gonna do, it did it. Why? Because I understood the structure. Now, of course, sometimes, yeah, I might, slip up and not pay attention to a detail, and it might not go that direction. But shit, 90% of the time, wherever I say the market is gonna go, it's gonna go, right? Because I understand the structure. So that's why it's super, super important for y'all to understand not just the smaller time frames, but also understand the higher time frames. Because now, look, right? Our 1 hour structure just broke. We just broke this previous lower high point on 1 hour. So what does that mean? It means that we're getting an impulse on our 1 hour structure. Once this impulse is finished, it will then correct. And then based off of our level of correction, we probably will get a continuation. But we don't know that yet. This could just, this could easily just be a false breaker structure. We got to kind of see how things begin to form. But as of right now, we're having a impulse breaker structure. And we know in order for us to get money, we must have an impulse breaker structure first, followed by a correction, aka a retest, and then we can get money. Don't be the person like literally, like I could probably almost guarantee that there's somebody in the chat that probably would be like, oh shit, they talking about gold buys, and it's gonna be one person. It's gonna be one person in the chat that's like, they be like, damn, bro, I'm about to just buy it right here, bro. Gold pumping, chat. I'm about to just buy it right here, then I'm gonna target, the next level of resistance. And what that shit gonna do? It's gonna do this. Wham. You gonna hear the saxophones come on, chat. You gonna be like, bro, what is going on? Cause like, bro, don't be that person, bro. Do not be that person that's gonna buy when it's selling and sell when it's buying, chat. So wait for a pullback, bro. Please, please don't be that person, bro. When you understand structure, you literally know that, like, if you study it, look at it every single time. It had an impulse, then it came back. Then it continued. Then it came back. Then it continued. Then it came back. Then it continued. So don't be the person that's trying to buy it when it's continuing or giving you an impulse, and then you want to wait for the pullback, right? You want to wait for it to come back and retest that level, and then you can look for a buy, chat. So hopefully that makes sense to y'all. Hopefully that makes sense, right? Now, getting back on topic. Now that we are at our 30-minute structure, this is where I begin to look for entries, and this is where I begin to kind of have a bias, right? This is where I'm like, all right, what is the market about to do today? What is the market about to do today? So based off of this data, if I was, and this is one thing I want y'all to understand too as well, chat. So when you doing your top down analysis, it's like you will never, like, just because you showed up to the chart at that particular time and you decided to say like, okay, I'm gonna mark on my charts right now, don't mean that the move is going to be super clear right then in that moment. So it's like some days you gonna go mark up your chart, and it's gonna be like, damn, it ain't like the move ain't really clear to me what's about to happen next. So it's like, all right, I gotta wait for more data to form first. But sometimes you're gonna come to the market and you be like, oh shit, it's clear as day, like what's about to happen next. So I want y'all to put that in perspective and really understand, like, all right, like right now, we know that this is impulsing. So we gotta wait for a correction first before we even look to take a any move, right? So if I was to give a bias on what's about to happen next, I would say looking left, right? You always gotta, look left and right before you cross the street. I will see like, all right, where is my next stopping points? Like, where are some areas where this could potentially reject from based off of the data in the past? And based off of the data in the past, we can see like this little level right here was a rejection level based off of this. So basically the story is every time price came here, it dropped, it rejected, it rejected, it rejected, it rejected. So there's a high probability chance that since we come into this level right here, we possibly can reject. Could we possibly shoot through the zone? Yeah, that's a possibility, but it's like there's a high probability chance it might not go through that. Because like even if you look at this, right now, if I go to replay mode and I go to these candles, it's like you will see it and be like, oh, this shit pushing up, right? Oh, it's pushing up. Like I'm a buy. Remember, like I told y'all, I'm a buy, and then not pay attention to the level. And then next you know, it looked like it's buying in that exact moment, but then it pulled back. Right? So same thing where we at right now. It's like this can look like it's buying right now, but then the next preceding candles can all be like this. And then just instantly begin to push down like such. So that's why, like I mentioned, we got to be aware of all our surroundings at all times and pay attention. So with that being said, if we do not reject at this level, then the next level that we possibly could see a rejection from is this next daily trend line here. So price could possibly make its way to this daily trend line and reject. Why? Because the story of that daily trend line is every time that price came to its daily trend line, what did it do? It dropped, it dropped, it dropped. So there's a high probability chance that if we get back to that daily trend line again, there's a possibility that we could see a drop from this area. So this is why you being aware of where you are at, and this is why, like I said, that full top-down analysis is important so that you know exactly where you at inside of the markets and you aware of all of the things around you. All right. So let's see, let me make sure I'm looking at the comments. What is your rule of thumb to be considered a pullback? 3 candle minimum on all time frames? No, it's no, like I use to determine the level of pullback, I use the fib. Like if it's anything deeper than a 38.2, that's a valid pullback. Let's see. Somebody said icy Lambo. You just like the students from yesterday. Let's see. I want to know how you think and what your next steps will be after the break on H1. The next steps are wait for a retest, wait for a correction to form. It ain't, don't overthink it. Like literally in this moment right now, chat, there will be nothing. Like there's nothing that you can do. Literally, there's nothing that you can do until price corrects itself. And then you can look for reasons to buy again. But as of we speak right now, you sit on your hands, right? You wait for a pullback, you wait for a correction, and then you can look to get money. Right now we are in phase one, impulse. We gotta wait for a correction, and then we can look for a overall continuation. Somebody said, when you know on the buy and sell, I'm new here. We haven't gotten to that portion yet. We won't get to that portion until later on throughout the week, right? Do you sell when it pull back? Majority of the time, no, unless it just depends. Like today, I sold the pullback, but that's because it was a quick scalp. So sometimes you understand the structure, you can take advantage of the quick scalps, or you could trade the correction, but I don't suggest that until you master structure. Like, don't go down to the lower time frames until you master structure on the higher time frames, because you're gonna get smacked. But it is definitely doable. It's definitely doable, 100%. Sit on your hands until unless you'll be playing the saxophone. 100%. 100%, Chad. You definitely don't want to hear saxophones. Somebody said, stall them out, Debo. Bro, y'all are funny, bro. Y'all are hilarious. Let's see. You usually enter on a 30-minute. I usually enter on, it just depends. Whenever I get my entry signal, but we ain't got to that point yet. We ain't. It's baby steps, chat. Baby steps. Baby steps, baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. We cannot know when to enter if we don't understand structure. If we don't understand structure, then we shouldn't be, like, we got to master structure first, then we get to entries. If you understand structure, you can have a shitty entry and still make money because you understand structure. But it's like sometimes your entry, like if you get a good entry and you understand structure, it's like, bro, you're not going to, your trade is going to be smooth selling, but you got to understand structure first. You could think that you got, because like if you didn't watch my trading camp videos and y'all didn't watch all of that, like you would know what my entry model is. But it's like you can get an engulfing candle in the middle of price and then it's go the opposite direction. And it's like, if like you would have thought, oh, it's going in, I'm buying. But in reality, it's like your structure was off. So that's why it went the opposite direction. It wasn't because you had a bad entry, it's just your structure was off. Right? So just be mindful of that. Somebody said, how do I watch day 1 and 2? So hold on, let me pull it up for y'all real quick. Y'all just go to my YouTube. If you go to my YouTube, you'll be able to see all of them right there. So let me just pull it up real quick. All right, so in order for y'all to watch the recordings, you hit, come here to watch the lives. But if you go to my main homepage, you'll see where I'm live right now, and then you'll see past live streams. I put it all in a folder for y'all so y'all can watch all of the previous live streams. And then also y'all go make sure that y'all go watch Trading Camp 2, because this probably the best free course on YouTube. Not to toot my own horn, but it's probably the reality. Right? So with that being said, that's how y'all will go back and watch the recordings. So Mike, how would I sell with H1 if it never broke structure? You could look for sales. You definitely could look for sales, but so if I'm looking, like, let's just say I'm looking for sales, but on H1, let's say I'm looking for, impulse, a correction, and then a continuation. If I'm looking for sales, I still have to be mindful of the price action and the structure that's occurring. So if I'm looking for sales and then I see this 30-minute is still forming definitive higher highs and higher lows, then it's like, all right, well, if I'm looking to take an H1 trend to get down here, then I will more than likely want to see structure break on a smaller time frame first to solidify that, okay, it's now going back in that direction of the 1-hour trend that I'm anticipating. So that's one way to kind of confirm that, all right, this is going back bearish. But if you just like, of course, like, yeah, you could take, selling opportunities, like in this area, and then hope that it's going to get there. But, as a trader, you got to be able to adapt and see what's in front of you. If I see this 30-minute structure, like I said, it's still forming uptrend structure and it begin to form higher lows, then I know probably it's not ready to sell yet. So that's one way that you will handle that if you like you said, in a 1 hour downtrend and you look for sales. You will pay attention to the smaller time frames to see if those trends are beginning to shift and go back bearish into the direction that you are looking for, right? I call my mistakes. I'll mark up price, following price like the zigzag indicator, seeing how markup on a higher time frame and only market definitive highs and lows is a key part for me. 100%, 100%. Please don't turn on that zigzag indicator, y'all. That zigzag indicator is BS. Please don't put it on there. It's just hard for me to know how far price is pulling back for the correction before the continuation. Think about it. Like, it's like, put this in perspective, chat. Once you understand this concept, I promise you, everything will make more sense, right? Think about it like this. If I have an impulse, right? So let's just say I'm in a downtrend. This was my impulse breaker structure, right? So this whole thing was my impulse. Once I begin to correct, my correction is going to do this, right? This is going to be my correction. So in order for me to know when the correction is over and when I should possibly be looking for my continuation, if I'm struggling, me personally, I'm looking for breaks and retests. So if it didn't retest this area, all right, I know it could pull back deeper. So I might be looking for, a trend line to get retested, whatever the case may be. But if I don't have a trend line there and I don't have anything to say like, all right, why would this stop here? Then I will literally treat this correction as its own uptrend structure. So if we take out everything else and we look at this as its own uptrend structure in itself, what are we doing? We're forming higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. How do we know when an uptrend is getting broken or is now going into a downtrend? We will need to see the higher low point get broken, retest it to confirm that's going down. So if I look at that correction leg in itself as just one trend, I know that when this higher low point gets broken, retest, then I know that this shit is about to go down. And this would be my continuation on my H1. So when you put it in perspective, it's really just structure, broken down. So you got your structures on your higher time frames and you got your structures on your lower time frames, but your lower time frames is what makes up your structures on your higher time frames. Think about it. You can't have a 1 hour without having an M15. It takes 4 M15 candles to make up 1 hour. It takes 4 1 hour candles to make up the H4 candle. It takes 6 4 hour candles to make up one daily candle. So every time frame builds up to the next one, right? So hopefully that makes sense. Somebody said, couldn't supply and demand help find the reentry? I don't use supply and demand, so there's no way for me to tell you because I don't trade that. I never even learned supply and demand. I focus on structure. Could you possibly use it? Maybe, but I don't teach that, and I don't, so that's not something that I can answer for you. So I'm about to watch this all night until it becomes second nature to see it. Appreciate you, Mike. No problem. I just had an aha moment. I love that for y'all, chat. I love that for y'all. Let's see. So what's the difference between you teaching us and your group? My group is just more one-on-one. Like, this is just, it's just information. But like, of course, like, this is a 7-day trading camp or 7-day trading university where it's like, yeah, I'm teaching y'all, but also at the same time, you don't get to ask me all the questions. Like, y'all going through questions in the chat. This is not like one-on-one where y'all can vividly answer me all y'all questions. But I don't mentor anymore, so it's, I guess, to say the difference, there is no difference now because I don't teach anymore. You really the GOAT. I appreciate that. Let's see. Please go in depth about finding resistance and support. It's just my structure points. So you see where every time we made a structure point, this was formed as resistance, support. Really, majority of my support and resistance lines are based off of where I'm dropping like my structure points. Those are my support and resistance levels, like such. But sometimes if I'm looking at support and resistance, I might use the candle close, which is the median of price versus the wicks. Like this, like you draw a level of resistance right here based off of these candles close on H1. This gives you a better level of resistance versus drawing it right here. So it's kind of one of those things where I like to go with the median of price, where it has price has the most touches. So if that makes sense. Um, how can we get into the group? There is no more group. I'm done. I don't teach no more. So like if you've been in my Telegram and you've been, following me on Instagram, I'm done teaching. I just like things like this, like Trading University. This is fun to me. This is interactive. This is, something that I want to do. But teaching it just it's like teaching like one-on-one that take a lot. And I got other, goals and aspirations that I want to focus on without, having to worry about like teaching somebody. Um, like it's one of those things where it's just a personal, it's a personal preference. Um, so yeah, somebody said how can we get in a blueprint course? The blueprint course is not available no more. None of like everything that I have is non-existent anymore. Like there is no more course, there is no more mentorship. There's none of that. Only thing that y'all have is my YouTube. That's why like I'm real adamant about even when y'all showing up on Trading University, it's like making sure that y'all actually take good notes and apply this information because literally the stuff that I'm giving y'all could literally change y'all life if y'all, if y'all use it correctly. Like I've had students that only watched Trading Camp and became profitable from just Trading Camp. There's going to be a story. I can almost promise you that there's going to be somebody that came from this Trader University and they was like they applied everything that we talked about and they become profitable, right? So it's just one of those things where it's like you got to take the information and apply it, right? Somebody said, "Where are the students at today?" They are everywhere. I got a lot of very 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 profitable students. I mean, obviously, not every single person is on, social media, so forth and so on. So it's like, I mean, you can go to my Instagram and look at my testimonials. You can go to my old website and you can go down. Like if you go to www.letoeffects.com, it's gonna say that my mentorship isn't available, but y'all can read all the testimonials. Even my assistant that's in the chat, that's one of my previous students, and she doing her own thing of trading right now too. So it just depends on like it's all there, but like all my testimonials are there, but I just don't offer it anymore. He said this is still teaching. Yeah, it's still teaching, but this is fun to me because we have a whole like think about it, chat. We got a whole thing. Like I know the badass students ain't here today because they got put in detention, but I think that's pretty fun. Like me doing all of this is fun to me. It's like a different way of teaching versus just me being serious. And then like even y'all was talking about yesterday, y'all was like, well, like he having fun, he laughing, doing all that stuff. It's like this is fun to me, but like when you teach from like if you teaching and it's a serious matter. It's like I can't really have fun, do what I want to do. This is just like me, just being me. Like if you met me on a regular day in and day out basis, like my family, my friends, you will see like how silly I am and doing stuff like that. Like I seen somebody say earlier, like a beater with a blazer is crazy. Like yes, it's crazy, but like it's funny to me. So like I like doing it. You know what I'm saying? So that's just my personality. I want to do stuff the way that I want to do it. You know what I'm saying? Not the way is people think that it's supposed to be done. Like this. Remember how like I had in my old my old office. It was like Lito's world. Like this my world. You know what I'm saying? So I'll do whatever I want. So hopefully that makes sense. Do you have a Discord? Yes, 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 yes. The Discord isn't Jasmine, can you drop the Discord for me in the chat? She'll put the link in there for y'all in the chat. And then y'all can get inside the Discord. Also, actually, y'all can just join the Discord through the link. The link is in the description. Everything, the Telegram chat, my Instagram, and the Discord is all in the description. Let's see. Do you only watch Trend Structure on H1 or Higher? I watch all of the structures. What sign are you, Mike? I'm a Cancer. My birthday was just like 2 weeks ago. Thank you for dropping in the chat, Jasmine. Will I go in depth on how to read and use the fib efficiently? Absolutely, 100%. We just haven't gotten there yet. We haven't gotten there. I'm coming back with my testimony prophets loaded. I love that. I love that for you. Oh no, I meant like the classroom. Oh, the classroom. They just didn't get. They got suspended. I'll see if I let them back. I might bring in a different student. We might have a different student tomorrow. We'll see. Yeah, but we don't have the resources folder. Okay, I'll fix the Discord. If y'all can't see the Discord, I'll fix it. Hold on. Actually, let me see something real quick. Y'all should be able to see all of this. Y'all should be able to see Trader University. Now, some of the stuff, like I was telling y'all, some of the students that got accepted, y'all won't be able to see the student lounge because that was for the students that got accepted. But y'all should be able to see the community chat, and then y'all said y'all couldn't see the resources. So I'll fix that. This is what I was talking about though, the blueprint trading for the beginners. I'll make this resources available to everybody. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. And then y'all should all be able to see it. All right, y'all should be able to see it now. Y'all should be, I just made it available to everybody where y'all should all be able to see. All right, so y'all should be able to see the resources tab, and then y'all should be able to see the community chat. Somebody go type in the community chat for me just to make sure. Real quick for me. I just want to make sure that everybody should be able to see it. No, Discord was just showing 3 sections for me. Y'all should be able to see Trader University. Y'all should be able to see the community chat. Yeah. This is Trader U. Yes. Can't see resources. Y'all still can't see resources? Hold on. All right, so somebody just typed in there. They could see it. Yeah, she could see it because this is the role. Everybody that's got this, everybody that's in the chat should be able to see it now. All right, I'm about to delete that message, but yeah. Don't put no messages. This is just for me to drop the resources for y'all. I'll put some more stuff in here for y'all that y'all can take advantage of and use. I only see Runner's Lounge. All right, look. Sometimes y'all might have to select the folders. So like if I hit this, you see how like it's a folder. Y'all might have to push the folder down. That way y'all could see like extended, because some of y'all got like Runner's Lounge, but if y'all extend it, you'll see the community chat, you'll see the wins and results, you'll see all of my previous trade breakdowns. When I talk about everything inside the market, like all the trades and stuff I put it in the trade breakdowns. The Ask Mike Lito, I think I closed that one, but it's another one. Ask the professor. This for the students that got accepted. This was some of the questions. So I actually told y'all I was gonna answer this question. What's up, Mike? This morning I was marking off gold and saw something similar. I'm not sure how to mark highs and lows when price changes direction. I wrote all my questions on here. How to label the trend changes. Yes, you will mark this as a higher high once you begin to see the pullback. You said this low failed to make a new lower low. What would you label this? This is a lower low. This is a lower low because you had lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. This is a lower low, and then price went on to make a new high breaking this structure. So that's how you would label that. How many people did I accept? I only accepted 100 people based off of the responses. Definitive higher high, higher low. Possibly you could show a little bit more example. I'm having trouble.
Okay, so I'm getting confused about definitive higher highs and higher lows. So,
all right, one quick thing. When in doubt, zoom out. Right? So like me even looking at your chart right now, I can see like the candles look way too big for way too like detailed for the structure. So like you can go up a time frame. So what that'll look like real quick is, let me show you real quick. So like you see, if I'm looking at this from like a 5 minute standpoint, like the structure looks like it's harder to see the definitive highs and definitive lows because it's a smaller time frame. But if I go to like the H1, you see how much more clear it's like, okay, I can see the definitive highs and definitive lows. Even with the 4 hour, it's like, okay, I can see the definitive highs and definitive lows. Somebody had asked me, why do you have all of these time frames on here? Sometimes I'll like, even though I have my 4 hour and like I use my 4 hour in my daily, sometimes I'll go to the 8 hour just to see a little less detail. Cause like that's like the middle between the daily and the forest, like the in between. And same thing with 2 hour. I don't trade into the 2 hour. Like I don't trade from the 2 hour, but like the 2 hour is the middle point between the 1 hour and the H4. So sometimes I'll just use it to see like less detail, but a little bit more detail than a 4 hour, just to split it up. So sometimes, like to go back to your question, if you have where's the Discord? Hold on. Like when you see in structure like this, just go up a time frame and you'll be able to see the definitive highs and definitive lows a lot easier than you would based off of just this smaller time frame. So hopefully that makes sense. Why were we not accepted? I was here yesterday. I sent out acceptances before Trader University even started. That's why. Like when you filled out the application, I looked at the application. Well, a lot of my team helped me look at the applications, and based off the responses, we selected certain individuals just to be a part of the first portion. But like I was telling people yesterday, based off class participation, and if I see you in class and I see you in the chat, I can grant you access to um I'm gonna set more people. But that's what y'all showing up, coming to class every single day, making sure that y'all locked in, then y'all will be able to get access to it. But right now it was only the first 100 people that got accepted from their responses in their applications. All right. Some if y'all application, I mean, if y'all stuff still not showing, so if y'all still stuff not showing, close your Discord real quick and reopen it, and y'all should be able to see. Y'all not gonna see every single thing on here because some of the stuff, like I said, it's only for certain roles. But also another two, if you come down here to the library, if you come down to Runner's Library, literally, I have everything on here. Like this is a trading camp. This is about price action, setups, the playbook. For people that use Liquid, this show you how to set up the broker, like all of that stuff. It's inside of there. But for Trader University Pacific, I'm gonna put resources. I'm gonna delete all of y'all messages because this is just strictly, don't type in this chat, please stop typing. I'm gonna just this is just solely for me to put resources for y'all. I just want to make sure that y'all can see it, but I can see that y'all can see it now, so nobody needs to put no more messages on there. That way, just go on the permissions and go to @ everyone to make the view a green check mark because we can't see. Hold on, let's go do that real quick. It says everybody that's a free runner. Yeah, everybody if you join the Discord, you automatically have the role of a free runner. So you should all be able to see. Okay, yeah, y'all all in here. Yeah, y'all can see it. Cool beans. All right, you said I only see. This is all you supposed to see. Resources and community chat. Everything else is for the people that got accepted. It's only 2 tabs in trade. That's because y'all didn't get accepted into that point. At this point, I'm damn near about to just put everything in there. I'm gonna just open it up to everybody. Just to be fair. Let's just do that right now. So y'all be able to see the homework, and then Graduation, I ain't got there yet. I ain't open and graduated until y'all graduate. Bro's in the community chat posting. He can see, bro. Check the runners. The runners chat. What are you talking about? Y'all should be able to see this too. Free runners. View channel. Yeah, y'all should be able to see the wins and results. Trade breakdowns. Y'all can see that. Yeah, ask Mike Lito. Yeah, all y'all can see this. I don't know what y'all talking about. We can't see it, bro. It's only 3 channels. Bro, y'all gotta see. A lot like this stuff up here is not. This is like my team. Like y'all don't see that. The signals y'all don't see because y'all not. There's no signals channel. So the only thing y'all should see is Runners Library, Trader University, and Runners Lounge. That's it. You make the readers chat read only. All right, I'm gonna do that. All right. We'll figure that. Like I'll figure that out. I have my team figure out all of that stuff. Yeah. All right. So now, because we pretty much approaching the end of class, but like I told y'all at the beginning of class, I will open up the hotline. So with that being said, y'all can now ring the hotline and y'all can call the phone and ask questions verbally. Remember, like I said, please like yesterday, don't be the person that's like spamming the phone. Like if you got a legit question, hit the line. Right? Remember the telephone number. Let me pull up the telephone number for y'all real quick. 945-201-7121. Y'all can call and ask questions. I'm gonna take a couple questions, but make sure they decent, like legit questions. Cause I seen somebody say that they was mad that I laughed at them yesterday. And I ain't mean like I'm not meaning to like laugh at y'all, like, but it was like the way they had said it, I'm like, yeah, y'all wasn't saying it. Y'all wasn't saying it right. So it was a little funny. But I promise y'all I'm not trying to laugh at y'all. Like I understand people don't understand in full totality, so like it's cool. So all right, so we're gonna go and let's answer the first question. Hello?
Yo, Mike, what up, brother?
What's up, brother?
What's up? Hey, I got a question.
What's up?
When you in a charge, what's the best time to trade gold? Is it London, Asian, or New York session?
That's let me ask you this. What do you think is the best based off it being gold, which is XAUUSD? Take a logical guess on when would be the best time to trade it, just based off of it being that pair alone.
Well, I've seen gold move a lot in Tokyo session.
All right. So you see gold move in Tokyo session. That's good. So look, let me just share the screen for y'all real quick. If y'all come here and y'all type in sessions, so if you come to indicators, it's like the only indicators that I use. But if you come in and you type in sessions, you'll see technicals. It'll say trading sessions. If you click that, it'll bring up this little thing right here. Right? It'll bring up this thing right here where you can pretty much gauge, and you might have to finesse it a little bit, but the colors, orange is Asia, green is London, and blue is New York. And then when it overlap, that's when that's like the London and New York overlap. But what I would say is if you look between each session, look to see, like go and back test and see like, okay, during the orange, how much, like what's the range of price? And if you put hold on. Damn. I want to pull up my other chart because it looked better on my other chart. Hold on real quick.
The reason why I'm asking about it is I'm getting my ass slapped on New York session and gold.
Why are you getting spanked up in New York session?
I'm getting slapped around and because at nighttime I work, so you know what I mean? So I can't, if I get on a charge, I got to go like to the porta-john because I'm an electrician, so I'll be in the plants.
Yeah.
So I can't be on the phone, so I'll be in the porta-john in the bathroom trying to trade at night shift.
Trying to trade in the bathroom is crazy.
Just to go to get into your schooling.
Yeah. So look, so basically, and this just go for everybody. This is like the real like the most um I would say professor answer, but it will be dependent on your pair. But since you said gold, it's either Asian session or London session. I mean, not London session, Asian session or New York session. Those are the two best times to trade based off of what gold does right now. Sometimes it may shift, right? So like sometimes gold, it might get to a point where gold stop moving in Asian session. It may only move during New York. So it's one of those things where you got to kind of go back test the current price to vividly understand it. But yes, right now, Asian session and New York session is two best times to trade. Obviously, you can see right now, like during this Asian session alone, if we would
I'm
just
looking at the charts right now. This motherfucker's moving.
exactly. So like you see, like yesterday Asian session, it shot up 800 pips. Today Asian session right now it's already up 480 pips. So yes, Asian session is a good time to trade gold. Does that make sense?
Perfect, man. Thank you very much.
All right, no problem. You have a good night, brother.
You too. Bye bye.
All right. Next person. Somebody said trading on the shitter is crazy. That is crazy. I highly suggest that y'all do not trade from like work. Don't do that to yourself. Like, all right. Somebody said I found a problem. Most of us who clicked the link, we don't have a free runner roll. That's why we can't see. All right, perfect. I'm gonna have my team assign every single person inside of the Discord a roll. Y'all get the free roll and then y'all be able to see everything. All right, next question. Let's take a look. Hello?
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wondering if you have any tips on trading psychology. Like,
Yep.
I was in a trade today, and my trading psychology was really off because I thought it was headed in a different direction.
Right. So we definitely gonna have a whole day on psychology during Trader University. But to give you just some quick insight, few things about psychology and trading is that one, you have to be able to detach from the outcome. Like you gotta be so detached from whatever happens that it's either like you let your trade hit stop loss or you let your trade hit TP. It's one of those things where you have to be emotionless. Most people have too much emotion. Most people think like, oh, just because my trade hit stop loss, I'm a bad trader. Or just because my trade did X, Y, and Z, it makes me feel bad. But in reality, it's like you got to be able to lead the emotions out of it and just look at trading for what it is, which is literally just data. It's just candles on the screen. It's just data. That's it. Right? So one thing that you want to do is you want to begin to journal what your emotions are. So were you emotional that day? Were you like what caused you to be emotional? Was it because the market hit your stop loss, or you was expecting to be right, or you put a certain level of like importance on your trade? Yeah.
I risked $500
Yeah. So
I lost half of it
okay.
because I was in drawdown and I was afraid of it not hitting my TV, but during the Asia session, I seen it hit my TP. My fault for talking too much.
No, you're good. So look, listen, that's the thing. You gotta be okay with like before you enter any trade, you gotta accept the risk. So if your risk was $500, you gotta be in complete acceptance to say that, all right, if it hit my stop loss, I'm gonna lose $500. It's like swiping your debit card when you go buy something at the mall. You go buy something at the mall, you look at the price tag and say this is $500, then you know, okay, once I swipe this debit card, it's gonna take out $500 on my account, and that's just the reality of it. So it's like if you place a trade and you already accepted, like, okay, it's gonna take $500 out of my account if it's stop loss. Okay, cool. I'm already in acceptance with it. I already accept that this is the price that it costs. If it take profit, I'm gonna make X amount because that's how much I made, but not being able to not be attached to the outcome is one of the most important things. But like I said, we're gonna have a whole day on psychology, so I'll go over all of that. Just make sure you show up to psychology. Make sense? All right, perfect. Have a good night, brother.
You too.
Yeah. Somebody said you follow your parent, no exceptions, no emotion, 100%. Somebody said, "Let me hold you, dear. Come here." Said you need a hug. Oh man. Somebody said he trading the rent money. The saxophone's getting louder. Don't be the person that trades your rent money. Please. Please. Don't be that person. You gotta be emotionally detached from it. All right. Will we ever go over lot size scaling? Yeah, we'll go over that. Can you post a market structure quiz in Discord? Yeah, I got you. Hello?
First, I want to thank you for even doing this because this is a real blessing to a lot of people. But my question is that how often do you do a full top-down analysis?
A full top-down analysis, I do them on every Sunday. Now, I do definitely do like a smaller top, because of course, like think about it, the monthly, the weekly, those aren't going to change, right? Not going to change because it's going to take weeks and months and sometimes even years to change those time frames. But the time frames that do change are the daily, the 4 hour, the 1 hour, throughout the week, right? So throughout the week, like let's just say on Sunday, I do a top down analysis and then I see the move that I was looking for on Sunday. It played out on like a Tuesday. Then I will do another thorough top down analysis just to see where price is headed next. All right. So like I do it throughout depending on how structures begin to play out. Sometimes it may be every couple days. Sometimes it might have to be at the end of the week. It just depends on what price is doing after my original analysis from that Sunday. But I definitely do it for sure every single Sunday.
Okay, thank you.
All right, no problem. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you. All right, somebody said, can I put I'm about to put, listen chat, I'm gonna put the market structure quiz inside of the Discord right now. Putting it in there right now. Boom. Y'all should be able to go watch that. Y'all should be able to go take that. That was a great question. Absolutely. The rent money trades, then the God trade. Please help me get my money back. I'm scared. Bro, I'm reading the comments. Somebody said, I traded my rent money one time. I got funded, and then one trade from my payout, I blew it. And boy, was that an uncomfortable conversation with my landlord. Boy, I can only imagine. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
What's up?
Is this the wrong number?
Huh?
Is this the wrong number?
No, it's the right number. Who you looking for? Actually, let me ask you that. Who you looking for?
For Mike.
Yeah, this Mike.
What?
Yeah, this is Mike. Ask your question.
Well, my thing must be late, but I want to know what's the difference between forex and futures because I learned trading with futures.
Yeah, so those are just two different styles. Like futures, it goes based off of like contracts. A lot of people trade futures through prop firms. Forex is the foreign exchange market. So that's just the fluctuations of two different currencies going against each other. So, Forex would be like, Euro versus the US dollar, right? Futures is more so like you trade futures contracts like, NQ, what's gold on futures? Like GQ or something, GS, something like that. But it's just the difference between like the platforms where you have futures, you have options. You all mark up the same chart. It's just a different way of measurement. So which would be like contracts, or like, on the Forex, like I said, the Euro versus US dollar, so forth and so on, which is the exchange of currencies versus you being on a futures platform. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah. And for chat, yeah, I could have Googled it, but I called that phone. Anyways, last
Oh,
question
she
I
talking that
have
shit.
is so with the war and stuff going on, do you think that has affected the market? Because I hear a lot of people say that the market now is different with Trump and the war, and you just got to be more cautious.
Honestly, my take. This is my take on that. I think that people that say like, "Oh, the market is different," really, the only thing that's different for me, in a sense, is the volatility. It moves a little bit more aggressively, but structure is structure. Like everything that we marked on the chart, everything we talked about today, that's structure. Like so, structure is always gonna be structure. If somebody say, "Oh, the war is messing up my trades," they can't trade. All right. So
Okay.
structure is always gonna be structure. The only thing that's changing really is the volatility, and then you might have certain instances where Trump may send out a tweet and it like shakes the market, but really it's still following structure. Structure still being maintained, and it's just going to take profit levels faster than it would, if it wasn't no tweet. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So do you think it's more fake outs?
No, I don't think it's fake outs. It's structure.
Okay.
Yep, it's all structure. It's all structure. Make sense?
All right. Thank you.
All right, no problem. Have a good night. And she was on y'all ass, boy. She said, "Yeah, I could have Googled it, but I decided to hit the hotline." She was on y'all head, boy. She said, "I'm gonna ask the question. I'm gonna use the office hours the way they're supposed to be used." I don't blame her. I will want to dial the number 2. Get the clarification from the source. Let's answer the next question. Hello?
Hello? Is this Mike?
Yeah, it's Mike.
Bruh. Alright, my YouTube is way behind.
Oh, no, you
So I
good.
was like, alright, bet. I got a question, bro.
What's
if
up?
you can just help me out.
What's up?
If you can, I know you only trade gold, bro. I'm just asking if you can just do the search for the one time, bro, please. Can you please look at GJ and mark up the definitive higher highs, higher lows, please, bro? I just like on the 1 hour and the 4 hour.
Mark up GJ, definitive highs, definitive lows.
On the 4 hour and the 1 hour for me, please.
Let's do it.
Yeah, bro. Especially on that 4 hour, bro. I don't know. I'll keep being a little confused and shit. I just need a little help.
I got you. Let's take a look. Boom. Let me mark this off real quick. Boom.
Hold on, I'm trying to get my YouTube to catch
Refresh your YouTube. Refresh your YouTube. All right. Yeah, this is a crappy structure, but boom. Yeah, this H4 ain't the best, but it's there. This was the last.
So you see how you just put those red dots on your daily, right? How come you wouldn't do where that explosive move went from for your definitive higher low?
What you mean? They all higher highs and higher lows.
See, now my YouTube is caught up.
Yeah. They was all definitive higher highs and higher lows. Look at it. This is the structure. This is the daily structure. Low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. See that?
Okay. Can you click the 4 hour one more time, or just do it real quick?
No, that's what I was saying. The 4 hour structure ain't the best because it has some weird it ain't really clean. This is what's throwing the 4 hour off right here. This little impulse here, but then it never made a new low. So that's from here, since it never made a new low, you don't have a lower high to get broken. So this was the last high on H4. So that's why I put this dot here, because this was the break of this last high. So now it would just go from basically from here to here. But even this pullback really ain't definitive because it was such a shallow pullback that it's I wouldn't even count. This really could just be broken down to H1 structure. But one thing I want you to understand too is sometimes if it ain't clear, like sometimes the H4 and the daily could really be telling you the same story, and sometimes you might not have definitive H4 structure. You might just have to go down to a smaller time frame and look at like H1. Like if I look at H1, I can see my H1 structures a little bit cleaner, like such. Like this H1 structure.
But I don't mean to cut you off. They talking stuff in the chat talking about he wants you to mark his charge. First of all, I average $400 to $500 a day, and I have real proof and real withdrawals, so y'all can get off my dingaling and worry about yourself. I'm just like being a sponge, like learning and getting better.
You on your head, chat. He said to get off him. He tried to learn.
You can see my Instagram. I ain't lying about nothing, boy. I actually trade my live account. I don't do no funny, so y'all can stop what y'all talking about.
All right. Chill.
My bad.
All right, but listen. All right, so this is my 1 hour structure. But this is my 1 hour structure here. So you see how like my 4 hour it ain't clean, but if I go to my H4, like I mean my 1 hour is clean, but my H4 ain't. But sometimes the H4 is not going to tell you. Sometimes it's a little bit confusing. So you might have the same story on the daily and the H4. Like I can use my H4 as my daily structure like this. Like this still could be my H4 structure in addition to my daily. Does that make sense?
Okay.
All right, perfect.
Okay.
All right, but you see the H1 how it's cleaner.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Cool beans.
based off of that, cause we made a whole lot of 23. So how would you put your fib on? I know we didn't go over fib yet, but how would you put your fib on there?
Whenever it's a 23, I'll just continue to extend it until it give at least a 38.2 retrace.
Okay. Can I just see where you would just start your fib at, just to see?
On which time frame?
Let's just say the hour. Let's just go off the hour right now. Cause like all that whole big move is like a whole 23.
This on the hour is a 61.8 retrace.
No, where it made that double bottom was a 61.8. So you would have just kept your fib right there in that area, in the same area.
The fib is always going from the structure points. So I only draw the fibs from the definitive higher highs to the higher lows. I mean from the higher lows to the higher high. Yeah.
That's where you would have drew yours. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep,
Thank you,
no
bro.
problem. All right, have a good night, brother.
You too.
Yep. All right, cool beans. He was on y'all head, boy. He said, don't worry about why I'm asking questions. I'm here to learn. And I don't blame him. A lot of y'all here just for shits and giggles, but for the people that's really, that's what it's for. That's what the hotline is for. That's what the office hours is for. Think about it. You got the kids that don't go to the office hours, that just show up to class and they don't really ask questions. And then you got, A+ students that's on the dean list that's really ready to learn. We in school, baby. We that bell is ringing. We in school. We at Trader. We are in Trader University. And actually, what time? This is gonna be the last call for the night. So I hope it's a good question. Hello.
Hello, Mike.
Hello.
Hey, so my question is essentially, do you want your daily dots to kind of match your 1 hour and 4 hours? Like, is that what we're trying to do to be able to determine where the trend is going to go next?
I don't necessarily need to, they don't necessarily have to match. However, when they do match, it's a higher probability chance that you are going in, the intended direction. But sometimes, the daily it also depends on the type of trader you are as well. But sometimes the daily can be bullish, like how gold was. The daily was bullish, but I've been selling for the last couple of weeks because the H1 has been bearish. So like, even I know the daily is bullish, I'm still able to take advantage of the time frames beneath it. But when the daily is bullish, the 1 hour is bullish, the 4 hours bullish, that's, I would love to see buys, when they all bullish, but it doesn't always have to be like that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. The only time, like, if you got like one, like, let's just say like, if you on M15 is bearish, but H1, H4 daily 30 minutes all bullish, then you don't want to, go against like all of them at one time. It's like, don't just pay attention to one particular time frame. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
No problem. All right. I'm gonna turn the phone off so y'all don't call no more. That was the last of the Professor Hotline. That was some good questions though. I know y'all probably was like, well, why they ask these questions? But you gotta think about it. everybody is at their, everybody has their own, they're at their own spot in their journey, right? So just because you may feel like, all right, I'm here in my journey, they should know this. They came here to learn just like you, and they trying to get the clarification. So, you gotta respect people to even call and ask a question, because sometimes you might call a question and you might hear this and it's like, damn, I feel embarrassed. But at the same time, you're like, as long as you had the courage to actually show up and ask questions, that's all I really care about. And for me to even do this, I want to see y'all ask questions, right? I want to see y'all, get that clarification, because that's what the whole point of Trader University is for, right? It's like, I want y'all to be able to get the knowledge so that y'all can then take that knowledge, implement that knowledge, and make money on your own. Because like I told y'all, like, I don't want to teach no more. So like, I want to be able to put the tools in place for y'all to have the stuff that y'all need so that y'all can be successful without me. You know what I'm saying? I don't want y'all to rely on me forever. If y'all relied on me forever, then what happens, like when I'm done teaching, then what y'all gonna do? It's gonna be like, y'all not gonna be able to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? So just be mindful of that. And embrace that, everybody has their own journey. Everybody running their own race. So that's just one thing that I want y'all to understand. Let me go ahead and check the chat real quick. Make sure I'm in. Okay, so you said make sure I assign everybody. Honestly, I don't know how to assign everybody that role. Like, for some reason, the link that y'all joined should have automatically assigned it to you. That's how I had it set up originally. But I'm gonna have my support team. They're gonna figure it out for me, and then I'll have everybody as a free. Hold on, let me just do it right now. Let me text them real quick. Can you assign everyone Discord? Because some people don't have it. All right, I just text my support team, so they'll get on it really fast. Somebody said my charts looks way better now. Great, I love that for y'all. Do you think we could get a quick recap of the main takeaways from this session? Absolutely. Let's do it. So let me pull up my screen real quick again and go back to gold. So quick recap, chat. Quick recap. Where was we at? We was here. Remember, when we speak about top-down analysis, and remember, y'all can go back and watch the recording of this. It's gonna be directly on the YouTube. Remember, every line that you draw on your chart should tell you a story. So you always want to ask yourself, every time price came here, it did what? And when you understand that, okay, there's a high probability chance that it can do that in the future. There is no guarantee, but there's a high probability chance because it happened in the past. The only time you expect something different is if the market gives you different information. So that means that if you add a level of resistance and it's been respecting that whole time, but it breaks through with a brand new impulse, that's the market giving you more data to say, okay, I should be waiting on a pullback to then catch the continuation to look for a buy instead of looking for sales, right? Another thing, remember, the market is one big book. Remember that the monthly is telling you the overall summary. The weekly is telling you a few chapters about the book. The daily is a few paragraphs that make up those chapters. 4-hour sentences that make up those paragraphs. 1 hour, a few words that make up those sentences. And 30-minute and below is just one word in a sentence, right? So you can't just have, you just can't just read one word in a book and expect to really think that you're gonna know what the whole story is about. You have to do a full, thorough top-down analysis so that you know what is about to happen next, right? Somebody said, how do you do your dots? My dots, I just use the highlighter tool and I just click once. If you click once, it makes a dot. If you drag it, you can, it's like a marker. But if you just click it once, then it makes a dot. Can you show us one of your research trades to show us the bias? Yeah, I told y'all about the gold trade that I took earlier today. The gold trade I took earlier today was based off of M5 breaker structure, and then I took this buy here off of it. Like the first trade I took this week was this break and this retest off of this counter trend line here, and I carried it to the -27. This was just a simple breaker structure. here. So we had an impulse, break of structure. Price came back to retest this trend line here. Gave me a bullish price action signal. I enter buys and I carried it up to this negative 27, which was in line with this trend line that I had here, this 1 hour trend line. I carried price there and I got out, right? Then this morning, like I said, I wanted to take a quick scalp because I did not want to be in the market all day, because I know, like, just being a trader and having experience, you got to make like, sometimes you got to take trades based off of like what your mental capacity is. I knew that I don't want to be in an intraday trade, or I don't even want to be in trades while I'm hosting Trading University, because it's going to have a mental tax on me. I don't want to have to worry about where my trade is going while I'm teaching people live. Like, that's not something that I want to do. So I took a quick scalp, get in and get out and take advantage of it. So the breakdown of this was, we had this impulse break of this structure. So this previous higher low, we impulse broke structure, price came back to correct here. And then I had a level of support here, previous level of support that was being maintained as resistance here. And then I had this fib structure on here, point A to point B. Once I got my bearish price action signal at that level of support, I entered this sell here and I carried it down to this negative 27. I closed one of my positions right at the negative 27. And then the second position that I had open, I left it running to see if it was come back into this previous high that got broken here. I was looking for a price to come back to that area and potentially retest it, but it didn't quite make it to that area. And then I have my trailing stops right above this like previous bearish candle. So then it had got stopped out right here, which was pretty much right at that negative 27. So I closed both my positions there and then went about my day. So those were two trades that I took this week, just based off of structure, based off of every single thing that, we pretty much went in class today, understanding structure and understanding, a thorough top-down analysis, right? Great class today. Perfect. I'm glad y'all love the class today. What indicator do you use? I only use the RSI, and then on this chart, this is the Trading University, so this is an old chart, but the only one I usually use is sessions. And then I had the EMA on there, but I don't use, I don't know why I ain't never just deleted, but I have the EMA on there, but I don't use it. So only thing I use is the RSI and the sessions indicator, just to see, to measure the price points of each session. And then let me clear all this stuff off so I can put this in a folder for y'all real quick. All right, so this will be day 2 folder that we have here. So look, quick tip. If you come to your object tree on TradingView and you highlight every single thing that you marked off, I can right click, hit create group of drawings. I can rename this day 2. Boom. And then I can hide everything that I did on day 2. So I got day 1, but this was all day 1 notes here. Hide that, got day 2 notes right here. So this is day 2, and then I clear this off, and then we go into day 3. Then we'll have a day 3 folder, so forth and so on. So let's see. We won't talk about divergence until we get to that portion of Trading University. Somebody said I want to trade on an iPad. Why you want to do that? Will signals make a comeback? Probably not. I really don't want to. Signals is I do this because I want y'all to be able to learn it. I don't want to hold y'all hand. And signals is almost like me holding y'all hand. So if I do signals again, it will only be probably setups, and then I'll let y'all kind of learn from that. But we'll see. You think gold gonna pull back to this trend line? I don't know. We'll see. We gotta get the data, but oops, that's not the right thing. We gotta wait and see. We know we in our correction phase, so we should be expecting we know we in our impulse phase, so we should be expecting a correction. Is it easier to trade on the iPhone? Hell no. It's trading on the iPhone is the worst thing you could do. Like, get a laptop, please. Actually, too, that's another thing. For my students that's been participating, that's been showing up every day, like I mentioned, it's going to be a giveaway at the end of Trader University. Make sure, actually, do this right now for me, chat. For the people that stayed, because I know it's probably people that hopped off by now. But for the people that stayed, make sure y'all go drop y'all attendance in the chat. Go drop y'all attendance in the chat so I can see who was all participating today. Yeah, y'all attendance is y'all IDs. Is y'all student IDs. Y'all can tag me on Instagram. Y'all can put it in the chat. I'm trying to trade on the airplane first class, drinking champagne in the window seat. I feel you, brother. I feel you. Also too, so remember I dropped the market structure quiz inside of the resources tab so that y'all can take the quiz. Definitely, I seen somebody say yesterday that, I mean, not yesterday, they got a 15 out of 15 on the market structure quiz, so that's good. So definitely make sure that y'all go back and take that quiz, and then y'all, like I mentioned, drop y'all attendance in the Discord chat, not in here, because I don't know y'all YouTube names, but drop y'all actual student IDs in the Discord chat. If I want to practice on the charts, what's the best app to use? TradingView, what we've been marking up on this far. Discord one more time, please. The Discord is in the description, is in the Discord link is in the description. And then my assistant just put it in there as well. Y'all can join that link as well. Sir, what you know about them buffs so you got on? That's all Detroit. Y'all not know I'm from the Midwest? I know everything about the buffs. That's why I love my buffs. If you know, you know. I live in Texas, but I'm from the Midwest. So that's why I got on the buffs. Do you see the quiz results? Yes, it tells you. Do people just make up their student ID numbers? Yeah, you just got to put your name. You can make up any ID. You can just put any number. We're going to talk about the RSI in a different class. But outside of that, chat, this pretty much concludes day 2 of Trader University. I hope y'all had a very informative session. I hope a lot of y'all took great notes. This was a great session. Day 3 we have tomorrow. I might allow the students to return from suspension tomorrow. We'll see, but today was a very serious day. It was one of those things where if you paid attention, you got a lot of nuggets today. So I hope everybody learned something today, and then make sure y'all tag me on Instagram. And then also too, if you know somebody that's been trading or that want to trade, send them a link so they can, that they can learn something, so they can, take advantage of Trader University while we got it here, right? So that being said, chat, I love y'all. We'll see y'all again tomorrow, same time, same place. Remember, 7 p.m. Central Time, live on my YouTube channel. All you got to do, make sure y'all actually just go subscribe to the channel so that y'all can be notified exactly when I go live. And then y'all will never miss a live stream.